My story started one day when I was chasing a storm. It was actually 1989. A hurricane named Hugo hit South Carolina. And Hurricane Hugo left sailboats in downtown Charleston. And I started thinking, my gosh, if the tidal surge was that high, what would happen to my town? What would happen to New Orleans? So after covering the storm in South Carolina, I came home and I called the National Weather Service, and I was on the phone with the director at the time, Bob Sheets. And Bob said, New Orleans is our worst case scenario. I said, have you ever verbalized that? Have you ever told anybody that? And he says, no, we just have this brand new data. You guys will appreciate living in a digital world, that he sent me to somebody who had a mainframe computer who printed out volumes of maps for me, showing me what the floods would look like. It wasn't anything that we could pull up on a PC because there was no such thing in a television newsroom at the time as a PC. And what these maps showed me scared me to death, because I knew the city that I was born and raised in was going to be annihilated one day. So, as you do in TV, Ron Burgundy style, you do a special report for ratings. We're going to do a flashback in time here, and I'm going to take you back to the report that I did in 1990, which was 15 years before Hurricane Katrina.
Lake Pontchartrain is great on a calm day, but when the wind blows and a storm moves in, it kicks up quickly. In many ways, it's like a big bowl filled with water. The wind blows and that water starts to slosh back and forth. And when a hurricane comes, the bowl is literally tipped, spilling all of that water into the city. When the big one comes, that could be our worst nightmare. The worst thing that could happen to the 9-parish metropolitan area is for a slow-moving level 5 hurricane to approach from the mouth of the river. It would dump 8 to 12 feet of water into areas west of the river. It would dump up to 15 feet of water into areas east of the river and along the north shore. And it would dump up to 20 feet of water into the east bank of St. John, St. Charles, Jefferson, and all of Orleans Parish. In areas with 12 feet of water, 1 out of every 4,900 people would be killed. 63% of the homes would be damaged, and 47% of all businesses would be damaged. In areas with 15 feet of water, 1 out of every 850 people who stay behind would be killed. Home damage would reach 63%. Commercial damage would reach 55%, and major evacuation routes would be destroyed. And in areas with 20 feet or more of water, 1 out of every 100 people not evacuated could be killed. Homes would be totally destroyed, and so would businesses. All of the levees in our area have given many people a false sense of security. The experts say these levees may hold back the tidal surge from a level 3 hurricane like Betsy. But in a level 4 or a level 5 hurricane, the waves would top the levees, flooding everything below. Imagine homes in Metairie looking like this, and historic landmarks looking like this. It could happen. Some experts say it would take a minimum of 72 hours to evacuate the entire 9-parish metropolitan area. But at 72 hours out, picking a point of landfall is nearly impossible for hurricane forecasters.
9 out of 10 times, if they predict a landfall, they're wrong.
For example, if a hurricane is passing between Florida and Cuba, entering the Gulf at 10 miles an hour, it would still be 68 hours away. What do you think the likelihood is of anyone accurately picking a point of impact? You see, it's a problem of time management. If you wait until you know a hurricane is definitely going to hit, it's too late to evacuate everyone.
And that is precisely what happened here in the city of New Orleans. We talked about the 9-parish metropolitan area. We have parishes instead of counties. 8 of them did the right thing. 8 of them communicated effectively. 8 of them got their people out of harm's way. 8 of them, on clear sunny days, prepared for their very worst day. And that's the first parallel to your business. On a sunny day like today, you're trying to help your customers prepare for the danger or the crisis or the scenario that they may face. And some of them are so willing to always do the right thing. And some of them, if you handed them $1 million, still wouldn't do the right thing. And why is that? And sadly, out of the 9-parish metropolitan area, it was the city of New Orleans, the largest of the parishes, the one who needed the most to communicate effectively the need for an evacuation, failed to do so. They absolutely failed to do so.